I mean, look, that leftist mafia stream was unbelievable to me. Like the accusations that were thrown out there, Olay implying that I'm racist because as a woman, I don't want to be called a birthing person. Like that has, I mean, race didn't come up at all until she brought it up. And then I mean, she was the only one on that stream who brought race into it and like made it abundantly clear that she's got an issue with white women and just thinks they're all the same and like, whatever. And then after I basically called her out on it, she's like, "Oh, you're attacking me and only me because I'm black." And it's like, no, you're the only one in that
Attacking
group
you.
of people who attack me and accuse me of being racist because I personally want to be called a woman. So, I mean,
I'm not sure that they fully understand.
Well, there is a sort of weird thing too with the progressive language where we want to call all these people all these different things, like, oh, you're Latinx. No, it was like 2% of, yeah, let's 2% of Hispanics use like that term, Latinx polling. Let's just go to the main. I've heard the term Latinx. Yeah, 3%. 3% of Latinos like the term Latinx. But this is like something that you hear all the time in like the mainstream media now. If you like listen to like left-wing podcasts and stuff, they're using it all the time, or they were a few years ago. Maybe they've moved away from it since. But it's not just that; it's also birthing person. That's extremely cringe language for women, and even with the trans thing too. There's this weird desire to call people cis hetero or whatever. It's like I don't know where this term came from. Maybe it was used in like academic settings. I don't know, but no one ever used this term until a few years ago. And then now it's sort of like just sort of like become like this default thing. But like I don't know of anyone in real life who's like, "Oh, please call me a cis woman or cis man." Like I don't I mean, I am not trans, but I don't like identify as cis. Like it's a sort of this weird label that people sort of foisted upon me. Um, and I don't think I like it that much, actually.
The damage that accusation can do, and if they do,
oh,
that
they
makes it even
understand. They
more.
understand.
Okay,
They
I
understand.
mean, that makes it even more horrible. I think she published a video of you that was you saying the N word, and it was back
Mm-hmm.
when YouTube didn't have this big prohibition on saying the N word, and you weren't. It's not like you were calling people the N word. You were using it,
Right.
quoting stories. So all of these are taken out of context, which is completely unfair.
Yeah, I mean, look, so it's really funny because that compilation video wasn't made by her. If you guys remember, at some point last year, everyone was going after Rogan for saying the N-word. And so
Yes.
someone on the left had made a compilation video of all the times he had said the N-word on his podcast. And then in response to that, someone on the right made a compilation of all the times like I had said the N-word, right? Or me and Jenk.
So I don't know how the ore works. Like I know you're supposed to build ore silos. I guess there's like a cap on how much ore can be processed into credits, but I'm not sure what like the exact trade-off is, the exact disposition. Yeah, they're going for the chronosphere. Not that it really matters. It's not even that useful. Unless I'm using it wrong somehow. Looking up something real quick that someone sent me. Something about someone called Eliza Schaefer. Oh, apparently he's a podcast guy. Okay.
Had said these.
Yeah.
So someone on the right made that video. And we had a company meeting, the producers, everyone, we got together, and this is like years and years ago. The last time we actually uttered that word on air was in 2012. But
I
we
probably
sat
shouldn't have
down, we
built it.
talked about
I shouldn't have built it so close to there, but I was going to expand up here, but whatever.
whether we should actually say the word when we're quoting someone that we are condemning as racist, or should we sanitize it and say N-word instead? And so we had a vote and we decided at the time.
Cis reminds me of cyst. It just doesn't sound good. No, it doesn't sound good. You're right. It just sounds weird, and it doesn't sound like a word that people naturally would use. Right? Like straight, okay, you can get that. Gay, you can get, well, gay used to mean happy, but like I feel like those roll off the tongue easier. But like cis, you're a cis man, cis woman. Like it doesn't roll off the tongue.
That it was better to actually read the quotes verbatim as opposed to sanitizing it. And
People are gonna like clip this and be like, "Oh my God, he's complaining about cis. He's a total Nazi who hates trans people." It's like completely couldn't be further from the truth. But but yeah, I mean, you can't talk about stuff these days. It feels like maybe that's an exaggeration, but it does feel that way.
And I knew it would eventually come back to bite me in the ass, and it did. And I don't really. I'm not going to apologize for it because context matters, intention matters, and what people like Olay are trying to do is
True, intention matters. Like this is something that people on the left just don't seem to get. Like it matters why you're using a word. I don't like this idea that words are off limits. I don't use racial slurs. I don't really feel the need to do so. But I'm like I don't have this like weird fixation like well if you use this word that you're a racist. Like it depends on how you use it, right? Like if you're talking about whether or not you can use the word, if you're talking if you're singing a song, like people got into trouble before because they've sang songs that have the N-word in it and they're not black. It's just ridiculous. It depends on the context in which you use it. If you're using it in a hateful context, if you're talking about how you have like some weird conspiracy theory about the Jews replacing, you know, white people or something. I better pause the game. The Jews replacing white people or something, and they're bringing in all these, and you use like the N word. It's like, well, yeah, then you're using it in a hateful context. So then doing it in a, you're doing it to promote hatred of other people, and that's wrong because you're promoting hatred of other people, not because you used a word. The word itself, like you could say racist things without using racial slurs.